Global Music Productions.
I'm so proud to be an African, doing this work with the brothers cause I'm African. Yeah, my music is African, staying black cause I'm proud in South African. I'm so proud to be an African, doing this work with the brothers cause I'm African. Yeah, my music is African, staying black cause I'm proud in South African.
Dunyana wesizwe ndizalwa ndizotsho kuzalwe Afrika nawo uzotsho ndikhumbula endulo ndihamba imijojo ndizibela eziko nyama yomojo
ndiyazinca ngobu-Afrika imibono yamaspelayo yandenza ndakwazi uphila ndamdala ndakwazi ucinga nabwakhonde nonbhida ndizimele naxa ndinga.
Alright, good day all. Welcome to FKU Africa Podcast. This is your host Maneza F8. And today we got to you something amazing. We got something new, something special. We got the first interview. So today we're going to be interviewing someone. I'm going to tell you later about it. So just before we go to the interview, I just want to make sure that I trust you that you're going to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and also go to Spotify and also an Apple podcast and make sure that you follow and leave a rating. So without wasting any time, I'll bring to you a sister from Sierra Leone, an African princess, goes by the name Hadassah. So we're going to be discussing a lot about the group. So don't be confused when you talk about the group. There's a group that we have on WhatsApp that includes all African youth and elders who wants to move Africa forward with no borders. Africa, which got no trade fees when you go to another country. Africa, which uses one currency, which is the United States of Africa. We got that group. We are discussing those issues. I will have the link to the group on the description on YouTube. You'll also get it on Spotify and also on Apple Podcasts. Make sure that you spread the word, get people involved. We want more people. We're sharing a lot of ideas. So yeah, welcome my sister, the Princess of Africa or the Africa Princess. All right, welcome to FKU Podcast.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell my listeners who are you and where are you from?
So, my name is Hadassah Suma. Hadassah Muminat Masi. That is important. Suma. And I'm the African princess from the Diamond State of Africa, Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
Yes. How is Sierra Leone? How is it staying there?
Well, Sierra Leone is fine, but just that we all know what we're dealing with now in the world, the COVID-19. It's really, really problematic here. So.
Are you also on lockup that side also? On lockdown?
Yes. People go out if they have to, but if you really don't have to, then you just stay home.
How long has it been now since you started the lockdown?
So we started the state of emergency because there's a state of emergency from March 31st, and we're still on it. And we also have coffee order from 6 p.m. till morning the next day. Yes, sorry, the network.
Okay, no problem. Just tell me brief about growing up there in the Diamond State. How has it been? Is it the capital town?
Sorry?
Yeah, just briefly tell me about you growing up there in the Diamond Town. What is it? Is it Diamond Town or the Free Town?
Freetown, actually.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I am the one that calls it the down.
Okay.
um, Growing up in Freetown was it's fun because the African setting.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Although during my early years, my age, my early years of life, it was war. We had the 10 years war,
Yeah, I
and
remember. I remember reading about it. Yes.
I grew up in that actually. It
Mm.
was it wasn't a good sight, but by the grace of God, we're here now. So
You managed. Yeah. So, how long have you been involved in?
exactly.
How long have you been involved in this African movement, in this Pan-African movement?
So actively, not long ago, but it has always been my dream. And as a child coming up, I've always wanted that to happen because going to school, I hate people saying, this is not foreigner in my local dialect. Sorry, this person is a foreigner. He's not from Sierra Leone. No, she's not from Sierra Leone. They're from Nigeria. They're from Ghana. Like, they're not foreigners. They're black people. How can black people?
Exactly.
Can a black person be a foreigner in Africa? So it has always not been okay with me for Africans to be calling Africans foreigners. We're not foreigners.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same sentiment that I share also on my side because I don't really understand. Even wherever you are in Africa, you shouldn't call an African a foreigner, even if that African is coming from America or Asia. But if he's an
Yeah,
African, if he's an African, he's an African. Doesn't matter.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
so do you think our leaders are playing a good role in terms of the AU, in terms of uniting us as Africa?
So I think they can do better. They're trying, they're working towards it, but I think they can do better.
Yeah, obviously. I'm also thinking that it's been too long now. They if
Yeah,
they
there is room for improvement. I'm not sure, maybe it's the bureaucracy that is slowing the thing down, but there is room for improvement.
yeah, there is. So how did you come to hear about this WhatsApp
Because
group
for me,
that you are
I
in?
think
Yeah, continue.
so. It was actually from a friend, a neighbor that we're staying together. So we always talk about issues around Africa, things that happen in Africa, things that are happening in Africa. And also he was like, because he's from Ghana, and there are so many Guineans and some other nationals in, and I think you would like to be part. I was like, yeah, you can add me on. Yeah.
So that's where it all started. Now look where you are now.
Yeah,
You are in the podcast.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of this conversation going forward because I like to interview people from other parts of Africa just to share the experience and make sure that we are moving on the same direction as you can
Yeah.
understand. Yeah, as you can understand from the group. So from the WhatsApp group, what have you learned up to so far? You,
I've learned so many things because most of the postings that are being sent, most of the things that we discuss is how Africa was before colonialism. Because for me, I believe it is not. You say okay, we found Sierra Leone in 1961. That was when we found Sierra Leone, says the Pearl people. And there were people here, there were Black people, indigenous people in Africa before you came in. So I for one, I've never encouraged, or I've never um, accepted the fact that Africans were found, because we're always here. So we need to go back to our history, our original history, to know exactly what was it like before the colonialism. What was it like before white people came into Africa and say, this was what we want, or this is what we want, and start dictating to us? So we need to go back and see how, because if you know me and I know you, we don't have to fight. We
Obviously,
would not
yes.
be fighting.
No,
We are fighting each other because we really don't know each other.
no.
We
You see,
really don't know each other. We don't want Sierra Leoneans here. You're a foreigner. We don't want foreigners here. No, we're Black people. Try to know me, try to understand me, and see my ways and pick the good things out of my ways, and I'll do the same with you.
yes, obviously, I've been trying to emphasize this thing of open borders, that it will broaden our knowledge of Africa, and also the trading together with money, and also with, when it comes to artists in music, if we broaden borders, they'll get more exposure. This is what I've always been preaching. So how would you say you feel about your leaders in Sierra Leone? Are there any people in the opposition party that are playing the role of moving into Pan-Africanism?
Well, it's hard to say, because all over Africa now, the biggest problem that we're facing is leadership, and you can attest to that. We have
Obvious.
few presidents that are standing up, that are saying, no, this is what we want Africa to be like, this is how we want it to be like, and they're working towards it. But some others, no, they are certainly, they the problem that I think we have in Africa in terms of politics is the party politics. Party politics, then it is difficult for you to brighten or widen your horizon and think beyond the normal, think above what is like, this is a ritual, this is what we've been doing, and this is what we met our grandparents doing. So let's just come out of that small, cocoon that we're in, and see the bigger picture. But as of now, I I I haven't seen a president or someone in the opposition that is willing to fight for Africa, for the unity of Africa. I haven't seen it. Maybe there is one, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's a shame, because we need a lot of those coming out, especially on the opposition parties, because no,
Because,
not even one president in any country that is vocal and outspoken about this Pan-Africanism. I would
yeah,
say the president of Kenya is a bit there and there, talking about moving Africa in one direction, but is not as vocal as the likes of Muammar Gaddafi were back in the days. You see, so
of course,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So we need those people. So what would you say to the youth, to people that they don't know about this, the value of one Africa? What would you say to them? What is the benefit of having one Africa?
So, if you are a young person and you're doing business, I know for sure that it is difficult for a single person to start a business all by him or herself, and it grows to the level or the rate that which the person desires. But if Africa is united, we can do business together and set up factories, set up companies, set up infrastructural buildings. We have the capacity because we have the manpower. Most of us Africans, we are young people. The older generation is not too much that like the young generation. So we think straight, we do straight, we act right. And I can see the music industry, the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry is actually walking towards that because we see musicians from Nigeria. They're collaborating with some of my Sierra Leonean artists also. They're collaborating. So that is the way, that is the road to go, because now you go to the club, for example, you hear them playing African music. You go to the street, to the beach, every place, the radio stations, the TV stations, they're playing African music. But before now, all we know was Britney Houston and all these other artists that are in the diaspora and stuff. So most of them are really coming to Africa now to see that this is the way forward. If we don't build Africa would not be the place that we want to come to, because it is your house. No one can make your place for you. No other person can do that for you. It's just you, yourself, and you. Because if you work together and see, we're building the economy in Africa, we're coming together to, in fact, even the countries. I was telling someone the other day that the economic problem in Africa can be sorted by Africans. Because, for example, you go to World Bank for loan as an African country, and you go to
Yes.
IMF for loan as an African country. We can collaborate, all Africans. We have a monetary fund bank that, if an African country is struggling, they'll come to that bank, take a loan, build themselves up, and pay back. We can develop ourselves like gradually with those systems in place.
Of course, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not to leave the point that we are in. I just now want to imagine now as Africa having one soccer team with all the stars that we have in Africa. How would that be for us as Africans?
It would be a dream come true, because if we have a team, and I want you to, for me, I think most of the businesses that are flourishing in the world, it's because of the support of Africans.
Obviously, yes.
We support businesses around the world, so they're growing. If we learn and turn to support ourselves, then no force can come against us, because when we are united, we work in one force, we work in one accord, we work in to achieve one goal. That is building Africa, that is bringing Africa together, that is working in the light of Africa to see that, okay, this continent is a place people can come into, not just to use people, but to, enjoy with people, not just to ride on people, but to know that no, these people, they have standards, they know what they want, and they're going after it, you know.
Yes. Just now, in closing, the message that you want to bring to the people to come together and join the group we have, obviously. Just your last few words you can say in closing.
So I want to tell all Africans that we have been crying, we have been praying for the unity of Africa. Now that is, uh, now that we have COVID-19, I think all the borders are closed, no planes are going anywhere. Everyone in Africa is in Africa.
Yes.
So let's sit back. The things that you see now that you don't like, let's change it. You think you can work with this, let's do it. Infrastructural things, like let's build hospitals, let's build up ourselves, because the thing that we were waiting for ages ago for Africa to be united, it is happening now. Don't wait and see, oh, no, I don't think it will happen. It is happening now.
It's happening.
So
Yes.
join the train and let's move on.
Obviously. Yes. It's happening.
Join the train and let's move on. The time is now, the hour is here. Let's move on. Africa is going to be united, and in a shorter time, I believe that.
Yes. That was my sister, the lovely, the Princess of Africa, right? Or African Princess, whichever is the same, right? Yeah, it was nice talking to you, getting to know you and your country. I hope we have time to chat again about more serious issues, going into deep into details, into the action. How do you feel about that? Can you?
Thank you very much.
Yes. All right, thanks. It was nice. Bye. So yeah, that was my sister, the Africa Princess. I hope you did enjoy the interview. It was amazing. I hope you learned a lot from her. I hope you also were encouraged about her words. And please make sure that you subscribe in the podcast. Also, don't forget the podcast is brought to you by Ikapa Hype, Ikapa Arts. Make sure that you go to YouTube and search Ikapa Hype for the content, Ikapa Art for the art that is delivering it to you. I thank you. Fikiria kwa undani. Asante ndugu. Samaku. We out. Subscribe.